welcome back to Masterpiece Synergy.
No, slap it.
No, he left like a...
Slap the taste out of
Are you done now?
Alright, get going, dude.
No, I'm never done.
Tonight we are talking about Tucker and Dale versus Evil, but before that we have a pitch by Heidi.
Hi.
D.
Okay. So I'm gonna pitch a movie. This is another one that I saw in high school and that stayed with me, and it's just like a weird ass movie that it will do fun things to your brain if you watch it. And it's actually part of a trilogy. If you really like it, you can keep going with it. I never did, so we might have to do that, Jordan.
You're not selling me so far.
Yeah.
It's called The Doom Generation.
Oh, I've seen that trilogy.
Ever seen this? Yeah, it's part of like the Troubled Teens trilogy.
Is this about like people who play video games at a certain point in time?
Doom 2.
Yeah, who play video games at a certain point in time? Oh.
No, this
Doom
is
3.
okay. So this is 1995, written and directed by Greg Araki, starring Rose McGowan.
Yeah.
McGowan. Rose McGowan and James. I can't read the word that I wrote. That
Duvall.
Last name. Duvall. Okay.
Sorry, just Googled it.
That's cool.
Fake ass.
That is a low IMDb.
Keanu Reeves.
Fake ass Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
It's about two teens named Amy and Jordan who meet a drifter named Xavier, also known as X in the movie. They give
Does he go around in a wheelchair?
It's the 90s. They give X a ride. He kills a store clerk for not really any reason. Like, he kills this clerk, I think like he doesn't have money for the cigarettes, but it's done because they have money for the cigarettes. They're always buying cigarettes and smoking in this movie. So if you're a former smoker or a current smoker, you're gonna want to smoke a lot when you watch this one. And the cigarettes are really cool. They have like a skull and crossbones on them, and they always come in a black box, and it just says on the side of it like these will kill you.
That's Australia.
It's like.
That's Australia.
And Canada.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, that's
Canada's
how they
got
market
similar
cigarettes in other countries.
Okay.
Because they don't glorify it like we do.
So after he kills this clerk, runs out, and they go on the run. These teenagers and the drifter, and they go on this adventure filled with sex, violence, and strange encounters. Throughout the rest of the movie, people keep recognizing Amy, thinking she is their ex-girlfriend, and everything costs $6.66 in this movie.
Really?
It seems to take place in a post-apocalyptic world, or as I always thought, it seems more like a post-rapture world. If you're familiar with the rapture ideas, because everyone is kind of evil, you know, and there's just kind of no government, or the government's really weird, and I don't know, like, and the fact that everything costs $6.66. I watched a lot of rapture movies in high school too, because I went to a Christian school and we had to watch those movies. So that might be part of the reason why I think this is a rapture movie too. But anyways, Amy, Jordan, and X end up in an abandoned warehouse where they have a threesome. Then, yeah. I said there's a lot of sex in this movie, so if you like Rose McGowan and want to see her naked, you could also watch it just for that reason.
Honestly.
Sold.
Oh, you do.
It's okay, there's no judgment here.
Yeah, that's fine. It's
Okay.
the 21st century.
So then something else happens, which I'm not going to talk about because it's partially because it's too disturbing, and also it kind of spoils the ending of the movie. And the movie ends. It just ends. With Amy driving away with someone. I won't say who. Just in case you want to see it, the ending is as bizarre as the rest of the movie. Like, it's one of those endings that just has stayed with me, and I've just been like, but why? Why did they do why?
Dracula too.
That's part of the reason why, like, I think it's a worthwhile movie to see. Like, not just for like the weird factor, but like also because it's a cool movie and the atmosphere's cool. It'll make you think about like some weird shit.
And the rapture.
And
and it's dirty. It's real dirty.
Real dirty.
So
It's Rose McGowan,
the Doom Generation.
Dirty
Dirty and violent.
post
like
post
90s
rapture. We don't have
pop,
to keep
like
appearances
really
for all those
severe.
pictures.
Yeah.
90s haircut, like super red lipstick.
I have to admit, I do like that aesthetic.
Yeah. It's good.
Yep, that's it.
I like the concept of a post-rapture movie. Like that's not like if you're talking about your post-apocalyptic, that's not one that's explored very much outside of extreme Christian.
Exactly.
Stephen King's what is
The
it?
Stand. Yeah, that's the other one I could think of.
Yeah.
There's the
Otherwise-
leftovers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count the leftovers
It's not really
at all.
a
I mean,
secular theme. It's
Hi,
usually
Nicolas Cage.
they kind of, some people treat it as such, but it's not
Yeah.
the rapture in like
Yeah,
cut
like-
and dry terms
I
that
think
you would
in the
think of.
usual
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see, like, if other people, did ever watch this, and like, if you think it's also a rapture movie, if you're familiar with those kind of movies, and you think he's doing something with that, 'cause I definitely. But I saw a lot of those movies as a teenager, so like a lot. Like all of them.
I
Every
think
one
consider
ever
the
made.
rapture is like a newer kind of concept, so I don't know if that would be the term they use for it.
Well, I mean,
The rapture?
like I mean, it's out of
No, like rapture movies, I think. Like
The rapture isn't a new term.
the
Yeah,
public,
They were making
Post-rapture.
rapture movies in the 70s.
like
so
the public,
they're not
like consciousness
Yeah, yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of
Yeah.
the rapture.
Well,
is
so much
much
of it
more
would be
recent,
doing with, like, the
as
kernel,
opposed
like,
to
the
just
turn of the century.
Christian.
It'd be interesting to see, like, if there is anything out there, if there's a upswing after that one guy who was like,
The
world's
rapture will
gonna
occur
end.
on X date,
On X
Y
date.
hour, and
But
she bought all the spaghetti.
didn't happen.
You know what? I've seen so many rapture movies, and you know why this conversation is freaking me out? Because this is how all rapture movies start: is they're talking about the rapture,
They're all
and the
trying to
next
talk
day
about the
it's the
rapture.
rapture, and you're there, and it sucks.
Don't
Hopefully
worry,
that
we'll
gets
all
corrected.
be here.
I'll be here the following day, don't worry about it.
Right, my God.
Dang it!
Will we? I don't know.
Dang it! Why did we start this conversation?
We're gonna have to get decapitated, everybody. We gotta form a pact, and we gotta live in a warehouse. We're gonna have to eat rats. It's gonna be awful. But nobody get that tattoo, okay? Because that's how they get you.
Grass-fed human.
The tattoo.
I'm not about anything Heidi just
Does
said.
anyone?
I went to a really weird school, okay?
My question
I
is,
thought I did.
rat-fed
Do you know who
human.
Vernon Perrin is?
That's not a
Vernon
question.
Perrin?
That's more of a statement.
Don't
Don't do it.
I will still be eating it better than everyone else.
Facebook, why be
By
so
eating
creepy?
everyone else.
That was the pitch.
Maybe cigar-
Thank you, Heidi, once again. You did a wonderful job.
You're welcome.
Doom
Hi. I said I had a message on.
Keep going.
Keep going. She's feeling good.
I'm reading my own thing. I'm sorry.
2010, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Yeah.
Stop saying things like that. Stop insinuating anything is more than a year old.
So this is the thing.
Directed by Eli Craig, written by Morgan Jurgensen and Eli Craig. Eli Craig's debut as a director. Really?
Wow.
Film cost about $5 million to make, only made $4.7 million at the box office.
Oh,
Didn't quite cross the line. Also sat
weird
in
that they
Canada
got
for
it.
3 years.
I'm not surprised.
Filmed predominantly in Calgary, Alberta, despite being set in Virginia.
that was
Virginia,
brought up.
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
All right, show of hands. Who liked this movie?
Oh,
I
10 hands.
yeah.
I'm
Maybe
sort of
a
in the middle about it. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
This doesn't
I didn't
surprise
hate
me. This doesn't surprise me. Kind of surprises me. I
I
don't think
love
anything you do surprises me anymore.
I love
I hope that
It's
this
definitely
surprises you
trouble
because
You told me to watch it in the first place a
Yeah.
year ago. No, it doesn't
that's
surprise
right. I did.
This
That's
needs
right.
to
When I
be
first watched
this needs to be added to the list of movies that Lavina told me to watch like 5 years ago, and I never did. And turns out they're actually really good. She can recommend good movies to me, and yet I'm surprised every time, and for which I apologize. I don't know why it is.
I'll be honest with you. When I was the person who introduced me to this movie, said, "Oh, you got to see this movie. You love it." Like, I don't want to see that. That looks like that doesn't look interesting to me. I don't want to like the hillbilly thing. Like, I don't find that funny. I'm not gonna like this movie. Like, no. I know you. You're gonna love this movie, and they were right because I absolutely adore it. I love this movie.
This movie was sitting on my Netflix suggestions. It was like, you should watch this. And I'm like, whatever, Netflix. Okay.
Right.
And then I did finally get around to watching it. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
thing. I saw it on Netflix and I just passed over it all the time until we did the beer bad movies thing for a while.
I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I think it's because it had every element of like a schlocky horror movie, but it was one of the ones that did it well.
Right.
But it also wasn't a horror movie.
It really is not. No.
Not
Are
until
your
the
friends
end.
on medications?
Yes.
They're killing themselves.
Also, I mean,
your friend.
I love Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
Which automatically
Good
meant I was
Lord,
going to
yes.
be sympathetic for the Hillbillies.
You're
Because,
supposed to be.
like, I mean, no matter what, the minute I saw Alan Tudyk in the car, I was like, all right, I'm hoping I'm gonna help these guys.
Yeah.
And I knew, like, the plot twist going into this because it's
The dude from Firefly.
Yeah,
totally.
Dude from Firefly and
However, he wasn't a leaf on the wind.
the other one that I saw him in a lot was the original Death at a Funeral, where he is naked on a roof.
He's making like crazy.
Super naked.
Them.
That's actually a running gag in my family because it's my father's favorite movie.
We should talk. That would be a good one to talk about. That's a great
Put that on the
movie.
list.
That's a
Inside,
really good
where we're talking about this movie, which, if you haven't seen it, is a deconstruction of the hillbilly horror trope, where in this case, the hillbillies are just misunderstood, bumbling idiots who are trying to do the right thing and be good Samaritans.
So they're hillbillies.
Yeah.
I slightly disagree on the bumbling idiot thing.
Okay, competent idiots.
I mean, keep going, but I
don't think they're
And
idiots. I think
Awkward,
they're hillbillies. I think it's
awkward
different things.
misunderstood.
Yeah.
Idiots.
And they wind up being confronted by these really close-minded, xenophobic, urbanite bigotry kind of thing. Bunch of stupid, pampered college kids, basically. Who freak
The
themselves out.
standard fodder for a horror movie.
I mean, and the one thing that did impress me is I honestly don't think the hillbillies were really idiots. Most of the time, they were standing around going, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, they were the
And,
ones that were
I
trying to do the logical thing.
Yeah, and
I suppose Dale did have an eidetic memory. So.
yeah, that was very impressive. The thing with the college kids that I kind of did like is they did do some interesting character development with, like, not all of them. A lot of them were entirely interchangeable.
Yeah.
But
'Cause they're just
body
gonna be killed
count,
off.
which is fine. But they actually, as a group, weren't all that, like, closed-minded, bigoted. They just weren't all that anything else. So when one person started going, hillbillies are gonna murder us, they didn't have anything else to go with, so
To
they
be
went with
fair,
it.
they're chilling out at the gas station, pumping their gas.
Yes.
And
Dude walks up with a sign.
dude walks up with a sign like, "Hey, y'all going camping?" Like, I mean, I'm like from the backwoods of Western New York. I'd be freaked out.
No,
Some
absolutely.
dude walked up with a sign, "Y'all going camping?" Mm-hmm. Like, get back.
Whereas my response is just gonna be, "Hey Pete, yeah,
We went to the same school.
and I'm sitting here going, yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna be on my property now."
Be like, "I have my gun."
All about it, baby.
Yeah, well, that's an unspoken rule in this neck of the
We're
woods.
gonna do some fishing. If I see you on the lake, we'll be cool. Yeah.
I love
I do
that.
want to add that I like that they didn't give them super annoying hillbilly voices. You know, you're putting on that super annoying hillbilly
Right.
voice.
No, they absolutely
they definitely tone that down
Yeah.
for a good reason because
Yes.
they're the ones gonna be that
But
carrying all the
in the
dialogue.
couple of
you know?
scenes where it's like from like the college kid's perspective in the beginning, they did exaggerate it like a little bit.
Which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Which is
Yeah.
awesome because
Yeah.
it's supposed to be
Yeah.
like from their perspective.
Yeah,
That's how they perceive
definitely.
it.
Yeah.
I guess there is a 15-minute cut called Tucker and Dale Are Evil, where it's from their point of view and they show it like if they're sorry, but they cut all of the bit about, spoiler alert, Chad being a fucking lunatic.
I love that the main
We're
villain's
gonna
name
say
is
Chad,
Chad.
I do too.
Ultimate douchebag pop college.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the minute he showed
He's
up
such
on
a Chad.
screen. I
Guitar
was like,
picking
either
a
he's
necklace,
he's
a
gotta
whole-
die or something's gotta happen because that is the douchiest person in this entire film.
He's also the catalyst for everything that happens.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that this movie really reminds me of is Cabin in the Woods. Have any of you seen
Yes,
Cabin in the
we
Woods?
did watch
It's
that.
like that
We watched it
very.
together.
That's right. Well, I've seen it like 5 times, so I don't know who I've seen it with. But it's this very like subgenre
Right.
horror
Deconstruction.
parody.
It's meta humor.
You know,
Yes.
meta humor. Yeah.
You-
Which
Right,
I
so-
liked because I liked
So
Cabin in
this
the Woods
movie
as well.
is
and I
loaded-
like those classic trope horror movie
Tucker and
tropes.
Dale is
you know,
loaded to
so.
the brim with meta humor. Would you consider it a parody movie?
No.
No.
Not really.
You say no.
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 It's not.
Well, I use the term parody, but that's not. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't go
I thought it
with
was-
parody. I would say it's a subversion.
Okay.
I think I agree on the subversion.
Like a parody has to be like really, really self-aware.
Right, like Scary Movie is a parody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Naked Gun is a
Yes.
parody.
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs is a
Right.
parody.
Good.
It's nodding. It's
I
nodding
agree.
at other
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this movie and Cabin in the Woods much more heavily nodded to Evil
Yes.
Dead. This
But
one
it's not even a parody.
little bit to Evil Dead. But it's not.
I agree. I think the cabin design, especially the exterior of the cabin design,
It
was
looks just like it.
very
Yeah.
Evil Dead.
Part subversion, also part deconstruction, where they're going to go and take the hillbilly horror genre apart, turn it on its head, and then just rebuild it from there.
Although to be fair, in the end, it's really not a subversion of hillbilly horror
Because you do get your...
because you get a
You get
murderous
your murderous
hillbilly.
Yeah.
Well, you get a murderous half hillbilly.
Yes.
Right?
Chris.
It's a half hillbilly.
Just like
Proving that the
super...
murderous
Just like
urges come
super
from the city
deadpan.
part. If you urban folk, they're terrible.
You're a half hillbilly. Wait, like
So,
what?
well, that's actually its own thing about
Hold on.
All right, Chris considers it a horror comedy tribute.
Okay.
It's definitely a comedy.
But still not parody.
Yeah, parody.
It's also
Satire, yes, parody.
Okay.
going with the whole that it's actually the urbanites thing. It's actually a deconstruction that I've read about European horror, specifically English horror versus United States horror.
Oh yeah.
United States horror is almost always out in the woods and far from civilization, where if you look at like British horror, it's almost always in a city location or an urban location like a town. And the breakdown was
so much
Or a
more
castle.
where there would be a town around it. But it's the breakdown of dehumanity and the levels of cruelty humanity will go. In the United States, we did all that on the frontier. Just the sheer levels of evil we committed.
Well, and also the United States has, compared to most other countries, a vast amount of empty space. So empty space is a trope that Americans consider absolutely normal, where other countries are like, frick, you can like, what? Like, you like that running gag about if you're in Europe and you go drive 2 hours and you're in another goddamn country, where I drive 2 hours and I'm still in New York.
Because our states are the sizes of countries.
Yeah, so like that whole concept, I think that plays into it as well.
But then when you look at like European, specifically British, most of their horror movies are set in an urban setting. When you look at the Industrial Revolution, all of the things that were just horrific there.
That's requiring a lot of genetic memory of the Industrial Revolution, but whatever. We're getting super off topic, and I apologize.
Well, no, it's not. That's kind of the whole point. I think one of the things that, and I didn't really notice it as much the first time around because you're kind of just sitting there and enjoying the ride. You don't know how it's going to end. But like the second time, you're looking out for things that are going to be nodding towards the end of the and that's one of the things that I think this movie is like. Everything is pointing towards one direction. One of like kind of things that annoys me about movies, and I mean, it can be done in a good way, but like they weren't focusing on, okay, we're gonna do this, and this to get to this point. I mean, pretty much everything they say is pointing towards the next plot point, and then to that, and then okay, later on we're focusing on this. The thing that the girl was talking about, how she wants to be a therapist or a counselor, because I feel like most of the problems in this world are because of the lack of communication
and misunderstanding.
And like that's literally the entirety of what this movie is about, is the lack of communication between these two parties, and how I think this thing is going on and they think this thing is going on, and then everyone dies because of it. So just like little things like that where it's just kind of aware of the scope of the movie, whereas she didn't necessarily have to say that, but it's kind of funny because it it works within the entirety of it.
And it ties into one of my favorite gags in the movies when the house blows up. Like, that was my vacation home. Oh my gosh, everyone's dead. I'm a terrible therapist.
Going back to what you were talking about, Greg, Chris says Dog Soldiers was an excellent Scottish horror movie set in the woods.
And I wonder if that's Scottish versus English in terms
true.
of
It's
like I don't have enough background in it, but like Scotland is a little bit more the wilds in terms of what they hold
The
themselves
Highlands
to.
and the Heath.
Just going on what Claire was saying just now, the misunderstandings, like, is like definitely like driving like the whole plot of this movie. But I think I was really interested in how this movie's portraying like prejudice and elitism.
Yeah.
And it's really it's making a pretty strong statement about, because the hillbillies, right, are the smart. I mean, they're not like book smart, but they're the smart.
They're making the right choices.
I definitely wouldn't call them
They're
idiots.
rational. They're, you know, they have common sense, and then the college kids are just like these reactionary, you know, prejudice. Like they have people in a box.
Yes.
So they're unwilling to.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is all college students. I think that's unfair to. Put
Yeah,
them all in
seriously,
boxes
dude,
like
man.
that.
Speaking of putting people in boxes, Travis.
Yeah. I mean,
Demonstrating your
pretty
point
much
by
everyone
doing
in this room was a college student, right? I think we all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're not like complete assholes, I don't think. So, I don't think you're all complete assholes. I hope you don't think I'm a complete asshole. So, yeah, so I don't know. Like, that was kind of the question I kept asking was like, is this a realistic portrayal? Is this fair, you know, to like have like this black and white sort of, it's almost black and white. Because we only
I think
have
so,
one.
because a lot of the college kids like question it throughout the movie.
They do.
They're like,
Yeah.
is this really a good idea? And like Chad is just super, no, they're hillbillies.
Yeah.
It's a lot of.
Not.
I think
And like a
it's
lot of them are like,
true.
shouldn't we call the cops? Or
Yeah.
like, shouldn't we find a hospital?
It does.
And
I
even-
think there
because
are.
even when the girl is like
Should we do it?
kidnapped. When the girl is kidnapped, they're like, maybe they just took her to the hospital. And he's like, no,
Yeah.
that is not what happened.
Yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
hillbillies and they're killers.
That's not what
And they're like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a group mentality type of thing where
Yes.
he wasn't like maybe goading them some of the time. Like I don't think blaming it all on Chad.
I will.
Correct.
He's a fucking murderer.
But I mean, I think the idea if he was out of the equation, things would have gone very differently. You
Yes,
know
no,
what
I
mean?
agree.
Should we
So-
do like a soft blow by blow on this?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that would
And also, purely from a
good way to
storytelling point of view,
organize
I don't
it.
think the joke would have worked as well without the black and white dynamic.
Yeah,
Like,
it
that's
absolutely
exactly what
was.
was driving the whole plot.
Well, and that's what a horror movie is. It's
Yeah, it's very
maybe
black and
going
white.
back.
That's how most
yeah.
movies are. If you don't have like a strong dynamic black and white, like I mean that's real life and that's reality TV. It's not a movie. I mean,
that's boring.
it's mostly boring. Some reality TV.
Who's doing a soft summary of the
Well, the
movie?
guy who just left.
That's not. I don't think that's what he mentioned. I don't think.
Is it
that's
soft blow by blow? I don't
But
know
I
what
don't
that
think he
means.
meant summary.
All right,
I asked him
I
what he
think
was.
he
I
just
asked him what
wanted
he
to
meant,
go
and he
through
got
the
up.
movie, like,
Okay, point by point.
Okay, basically.
rather
point
than jumping
counterpoint.
around.
We're not doing summary.
Oh,
Because like we have an inner and an outer circle here of agree and disagree for those not in the room with us.
Um,
The four inner
Oddly,
circle
literal-
here agree, and the four outer circle don't like
Really
it.
literal inner and outer circle.
I mean, it opens with the college kids. Which,
Yes, it opens with like the super stereotypical horror movie open with college kids going out in the woods. I forgot the bear.
No. It
Does
opens. It opens with the
The stinger.
No,
The
not
reporter.
no,
It's
not
one-
stinger.
yeah,
It's
but,
a-
it does.
It
That's
should have
right.
been a stinger.
Yeah.
Is what like a
oh,
stylistic.
stinger. I think it's
What's the
stinger,
point
but no,
of
she
that?
wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't like
camcorder?
that.
That didn't
Yeah.
make any sense, because if that was supposed to be the murder that happened like what 20
No, that's
No,
not what
no.
it was.
It
That
was,
was.
it was the reporter chick and the cameraman.
It was a
From the
reporter
very
end.
from the very end, and the guy in the
I
beginning.
did not get that at
It
all.
was definitely a very weird choice.
And
I
it-
didn't
and
get it the first time around.
You don't get it until you rewatch it because it's Chad.
That's Chad who pops up to kill him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like he survived the fall.
Why don't they put that in the beginning?
They
I
did it.
agree. I agree
Exactly
completely.
They
the question
did
that's
it.
being asked.
Like one of the newer Texas Chainsaw Massacres. That's how it started with the camera people coming down and
Okay.
then Leatherface just appearing at the stairs.
I don't watch
and the
Texas
movie
Chainsaw movies.
ended the same way with that.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was like a parody in that.
Okay.
But they do the setup with the kids, and they kind of set the personality of a bunch of the characters with that shot. Like, for example, the thing I thought was really neat was the kid who's driving. Super nervous. I'm like, that's going to come up again. Him being that nervous, and it does. Like, he's very nervous, very reactionary. Chad being a giant douche. That one girl smoking, which turns out to be major plot relevant.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they don't develop a lot of personality for a lot of the college kids, but they develop the personality on the ones that are most plot relevant, and they give everybody a little thing that is going to be plot relevant.
I think that that's kind of another like that's a good example of not wasting your time, not
Yes.
wasting dialogue. Everything.
Very mise-en-scène.
Everything
That's
that.
not the correct use of that term.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Remember, say it 3
Everything
times
is
fast and
being
we summon
used
it.
for a specific reason. It's being
Yeah.
said for a specific reason, which
No,
I'm
it's
always a
right
fan
over
of,
here.
just because it shows that there was a little forethought in the writing of
Yes.
the movie. Because I feel like there's movies where you see entire scenes or entire portions of the movie. It's like, well, why was that there? You know.
I could have
And
done something else.
Yeah, which you know, again, it's a lot of creative choices
Let's
and
look at a
everything.
nuclear
and
explosion in
it works
space
a lot of
for
the time,
20
but I appreciate movies that are tight like that. You know.
There was one scene in particular.
Flip it.
There was one scene in the movie where the one girl, they're all inside the cabin, and they're sitting and having tea, and they're actually having a discussion.
Yes.
And then the one lady outside is like, no, I've seen this before. It's Stockholm Syndrome.
No, she says it inside.
Oh,
She's
she doesn't
inside.
say inside. I couldn't
My
remember.
sociology degree. This is Stockholm Syndrome.
Sociology-
Like, we never covered that. in
Sociology class, and she is complete misunderstanding of what Stockholm Syndrome
Yeah.
is, which is pretty impressive.
And it's not a sociology
But also not super on her.
phenomenon at all.
No, that misuse. But I mean, that misuse of Stockholm Syndrome is fairly common.
Exactly.
And it plays wonderfully in the chat paradox.
Yes, I loved how that, and she's like, Allie didn't have to say a word because he was already obsessed with her, and now he's like, you're in love with him, you're in love with him, you're in love with him. Like, she could have said, no, I'm going to stab him in the thigh, and it didn't matter to him at that point. I also liked how they basically spent almost the entirety of the movie, except for maybe the beginning part. Once they hit the campground, wherever they're camping, like they're just on someone else's property, Jesus.
It's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah, hinting that Chad's not right. Like, that boy ain't right.
Yeah. He
They
starts to
put-
do like weird axe stuff.
The weird axe stuff.
Yeah.
Watch me throw this axe, guys.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
And he's super aggressive with like everything, including that creepy story. Like that whole scene where he's like super aggressive and he wants people scared.
Yeah.
One theory that I was looking at, I was listening to some posts on it, was that Chad brought them out there for a reason. Like, whether or not the hillbillies showing up started the murder festival, but that didn't necessarily mean Chad didn't already have one planned. Which I'm kind of like,
Wow.
he
that's
had
interesting.
something
Yeah.
planned.
Just gonna murder a bunch of people and blame it on hillbillies to prove my point that hillbillies are evil.
Yeah,
Well,
or he was
or
gonna,
it could have been because he was like on this very spot.
Or maybe
20
even a
years
subconscious
ago.
thing. Maybe it wasn't even something that
Yeah, like
he,
it could've been
just
his
like.
Hillbilly calling, or like it could have just
Gotta
been
go
his,
back
like,
to the- or
his
whatever.
communal, like, my mother was kidnapped 20 years ago. I want to go out there
Yeah,
to the place where
you're-
she was kidnapped, and it'll be like a
Recreate
spiritual
this-
thing for me.
recreate
I'm
the
a
scene.
fucking
Like,
lunatic.
He got in touch with his inner hillbilly.
he definitely, I feel like he definitely had an agenda.
Yeah,
What that agenda was,
he might not even know.
I liked
But
that.
he knew it
Killing
was
some
screaming.
hillbillies.
I like that Chad had kind of like a double twist. You know what I mean? Because it's like you hear the whole story and you're like, oh wow, that was unexpected. You know, well maybe not unexpected, but and then 20 minutes later you get, wait a second, it wasn't even just that. It was this. His mother,
or the child of a
yeah.
murderer.
It wasn't just this happened, but this also happened.
And to actually like crank up the douchiness of Chad, he pointed a gun at a dog, was ready to
I
kill it.
know!
He didn't actually shoot the dog.
No,
No,
he
but I
didn't.
was
He
super
actually
proud
had
of the dog, and that's just
scene, earlier in that scene, he's out of bullets.
Yeah, but he wasn't on a bullets when he first pointed the gun at the dog. And honestly, like if they wanted to, like they had been done a very good job of telegraphing Tucker and Dale as good guys this whole time, but like Tucker puts his life at risk to rescue the dog. I'm like, well, I'm sold.
Basic
Yeah.
basic cinematographic trope.
It's called Save the Cat.
They've got the dog. They're the good guys. That's just one of those
Yeah,
things.
it's like that's the way you telegraph that somebody's the good guy, even if he's doing bad shit. Right
I mean, that's why Trav won't watch John Wick.
Right? Because same.
I
Oh,
Finish
killed the
the
dog.
Oh,
That's not a
I was,
spoiler because it occurs for the first 15 minutes.
I
of the
was
movie.
not. I knew that was happening, but I wasn't prepared for it, and I got
Don't worry, it
John Wick is a
justifies
spectacular
everything
movie.
he does to the bad guys.
John Wick is a great movie. John Wick 2 is a spectacular movie. it's just mesmerizing. You go to the big screen and you watch that. Oh my gosh, much. I mean, you feel like a terrible person for like being so into all of these deaths.
I don't
There's
feel
like,
I don't feel like
We've all seen Hard Boiled.
Yeah.
We loved it.
I think there's like
It's a murder
close to
fest.
100 deaths in that movie.
No, I've seen
Like,
it.
as it stands. Yeah, I mean,
Same.
I mean, it's like, you know, when you're watching a movie, it's like, oh yeah, a few deaths. Oh well, oh cool, that was a cool way to. But then it's just like person after person after person. You're like, whoa, wait a second, I gotta like examine my heart here or something.
Don't care, moving on. Apparently my humanity is lower
Examine
than
that
that.
guy's heart. It's already outside of his body.
I was also interested with the way the physicality. Like Alan Tudyk, I don't think is a big guy,
No.
but he looks bigger than almost all of the college students
Right.
in this movie. Especially Chad. Chad looks little.
Speaking of Chad.
Rick
He
Flair.
looks lanky.
That's some heavy lifting on the casting. Yeah.
Chad looks little.
Alan Tudyk is very lanky in
Yes.
this movie.
Yes.
I don't know about overall, but in this movie, he's got like the kind of like
that
a
Hillbilly,
tall,
you got the guy that's like standing, and you got the guy that's
Yeah.
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 I loved how his bee stings just like disappear after a while.
Also,
He's
blood stain on the shirt.
Like,
That's probably my favorite part of the movie.
is it really?
Yeah.
The fact that the bee stings disappear, the bee sting scene.
The bee sting scene, right?
Yeah.
Well, like it's an
I
obvious.
cut through a beehive. Well, why'd you do that?
Alan Tudyk is not a small man at all. He's 6 feet tall.
Are you kidding me?
Nice.
Man, Nathan Fillion makes him look little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say.
Whereas Nathan Fillion
No,
is actually a
oh,
small
I'm gonna get a
guy.
beer. I'm gonna get a beer, and then they show him pouring the beer.
Poor girl in this thing. But like
It's maybe my favorite.
the part where he gets
shot.
stung by the bees, where he's like sawed through the log and everything, and the bees come out, and he starts running through the woods with his
The chainsaw.
But they absolutely do Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 1.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, when Leatherface does his little like weird chainsaw dance, he does this like weird little like fucking like ballet move with it and shit. He does that as he's fucking like running through the woods.
Which you actually know how bees act. All the smoke coming up from that chainsaw would have driven them away.
Right? They were painted. Right?
I thought I was impressed by how very subtly the way they handled the guy who basically killed himself by running like an idiot through the woods.
Because there's a guy with a chainsaw running.
Yeah, but like he's looking at Tucker, and you can see the look in his face, like, wait a minute, he's not. What's going?
And he's got bees
Yeah,
on it.
yeah. Oh wait,
He's like,
The bee lands on his nose. There's that moment of comprehension, and the lights go out.
yeah. I mean, I thought that was like some pretty subtle work. It was terrible CGI work on bee, but pretty subtle work for
When
acting.
did the movie come out? Like 2007?
2010.
2010.
Yeah, so it's 7 years old.
Stop saying.
No, you know, I want to go back to Chad for like 2 seconds.
Why?
And mention the take a smoke, do his inhaler.
Yeah.
Let the smoke out, and then do a story.
Like, that's terrible planning. It's awful.
I feel like they do. They do a lot of good sight gags.
Yeah.
Like just like you know, like pouring the beer in your face, just something like
Well,
that.
then
It's
you pour
just
some
something.
Feel good movie.
Yeah.
Like you just have fun watching.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff to keep you entertained throughout. It's not I don't know. It just like that.
It's
Just
just a
a
fun
lot
movie.
of little sight gags and
It's
little
not like
one-liners.
a masterpiece. It's not like Library of Congress needs to archive it. It's
Yeah,
just a super feel good
They
movie.
should though.
You watch it, you have fun watching.
Did you
More than
notice
one.
that after they cut off his bowling fingers, when he gets back into the room, he opens up another beer and pours that on his face? I'm like, what does this man think Pat Ribbon can do?
Everything.
On that note, what self-respecting hillbilly drinks PBR? I just want.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Did you notice at the beginning of the
Fun
movie they were
beer fact
drinking
as
beer?
an
Yeah, I
aside. Fun beer fact as an aside. For every 2 beers sold in America, one of them is a Bud Light.
Oh,
Ah,
that's understandable.
That's just your fun fact.
I don't know if that's a fun fact.
It's like
Since hillbillies drink a crap ton of beer.
Right?
in the begining of the film, when they're drinking a beer in the truck,
illegal.
they're drinking
Beer.
beer.
Beer that happens to look like a Coors Light.
Yeah.
Little
Which I thought was interesting because then later on,
Whatever
they're very
Strike had in my
obviously using.
That was Miller Lite.
Yeah, so like there's obviously
I'll
some
bring
sort
more
of
down.
placement there.
That's
But
kind of my point. Miller Lite and Old Milwaukee are cheaper, low-end beers.
Yeah.
PBR's kind of expensive.
well, that's why it's like that's like why it's a nice thing. It's like ooh, we've got the because
These are nice
We're going on vacation home.
Yeah, they
Buy that fancy beer.
As someone that
PBR.
loves beer, the fact you said that PBR is a good thing, I am insulted.
I don't know. I kind of want to go for it.
That's how hillbilly
PBR
these guys
night,
are.
Tuesdays.
They're like, that's blue ribbon. Holy shit.
yeah.
I grew up on a farm. I grew up with a lot of farm kids. No, they were drinking Budweiser or frickin' Natty Ice.
Natty Ice is
Yeah,
garbage.
that's when you were growing up. Not now.
These are Southern rednecks. That should have been Steel Reserve.
Oh god, no, the sediment.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like this was like someone got a bonus at work. Get the PBR.
Yeah, right. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that was the idea. Yeah.
Moving away from
Except
the
you
beers.
sunk every
I
cent
want
you
to talk
had in the
about
vacation home.
I want to talk about the cabin.
I love the set design of it.
Right. Very nice cabin.
But it was
Like it's
like-
supposed to be a crappy cabin, but it's also like very
like
nice. It's
Super underutilized though. Like they,
Yeah.
they threw in like the
one
guy who lives here used to be an archaeologist
yeah.
just to have it be Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So they just
No,
dropped
that
guy.
wasn't an Evil Dead reference.
What was it?
It was the fact that the dude who lived there was the freaking murderer from the story, and he had his trophies hanging up all over the place.
Yeah.
And they were too oblivious to realize that those were human
well, apparently I'm
bones.
so oblivious.
Yeah, no, it's
It was human bones all over the place, and it was all the newspaper
and the
clippings
news-
were like
he's keeping
were like his kills. They were
yeah,
his trophies. That's
okay,
what
well.
100% all of that was.
buy two get one free, no expiration
Exactly,
date.
and they were too oblivious to realize that they were human bones, and they're like, he must have been an archaeologist.
I do
I might
feel
be dumb then because I was looking at him like,
I do-
fuck you, it's Dr. Nobody's
Someone one.
no.
That's what I thought too, though. I mean, because I was looking for references to Evil Dead because of the way it's
Like, I mean, it's
the
kind of
cabin
Evil
looks
Dead-esque,
like-
maybe that's why they
And
picked,
so-
like, archaeologists and stuff, but
Honestly,
no, that's 100% a, we missed the fact that this guy killed people, and we're in an obviously serial killer's home.
Yeah.
Oh, he must have been an archaeologist. He's got all these bones lying everywhere.
Yeah.
I missed it too.
I
Man,
honestly,
I caught something Jordan missed. Mark the calendar.
no.
I didn't get that.
Chris
either.
said that
I-
the cabin was almost a character in itself. It made him think of the movie Wrong Turn.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
It's
It's good.
still really hard. Crazy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but yeah, it sounds 100% like
It is.
Hillbilly.
It's really good, actually.
They've got their own little weird inbred hillbilly language.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
So great.
That sounds
No,
super
no.
great.
I think that honestly, I
middle
feel
school, they
like
would've
there
been.
was a deleted scene or something because I feel like
I'm sure there was some.
the point, well, not the point, but I wanted to see a kid come in and look at the cabin and say, we are in a murder cabin, because, but like the kids came in and they weren't really focused on that necessarily,
Right.
or at least some sort of notice like, why is there 50, newspaper clippings on the
Nobody
wall,
talked about
and like, right, like I felt like that would have been the next natural step towards that. But
I
but
feel
they
like
didn't do that. So
by the time the kids showed up in the cabin, they were so convinced that these were
Yeah,
the
no.
like
No,
that place could have been
details like that
covered
is
with like kittens and puppies and like a giant cake on the table, and then we're like, that's a murder cake.
oh yeah,
No, it's chocolate. No, it's murder.
That
Well,
cake
it's
is
like-
made of human bones.
I want a burger cake now.
Just the
When they were doing
Red Bell.
CPR on there, we've got your friend. He's eating her face.
That whole like sequence, the fishing sequence, is like my
That's good
favorite
times.
part of the movie. It's like, we got your friend. It's like it's 100% the breakdown in communication. Maybe it's the fact that I'm a comm major, but like it's them going, wait, we have your friend, come get her, and they can see her as going, we got her, we got your friend.
We're eating her face.
We got her. Get her done.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, a bunch of idiot kids
Can we
that don't
mention-
understand what skinny is.
I wasn't quite exact. I wanted to
Why are
ask
we
you guys
standing
this
up in a swamp?
because
It's a lake, but they're all
Dale's-
sleeping in their underwear.
because Dale's cap said, give her like GIV dash apostrophe
R.
R,
Give her.
which is get her, get her like
get her down.
but it was give her like. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
He's a real
like was
giver.
there some sort of like
I wonder if that's
give
actual.
instead of get or something? Because it just seemed like a super weird
Well,
thing to
like,
have on
the
the
whole-
hat.
whole
to
get
the
her
point
done
of like,
thing
what does
would
that even
be
mean?
trademark.
Because it brings to mind get her, or at least that's what I thought of.
According
and
to
it
the
wasn't
trivia I've
that.
been able to find, it's something the actor picked up on his way to the set because he felt it was something the character would wear.
Okay, well that works.
Oh, that,
Super
It
fair.
just because it was a really weird. It was a weird thing.
Right.
yeah, it was
It
like draw my attention.
yeah, right.
Well, it also kind of plays with the fact that he's like a good Samaritan. He's
Right.
constantly giving and.
Well, that was my thought. I'm like, is that actually supposed to be a
But
must be that
it was just something
a wink
they
or
found a way
something?
to
But it
set.
was weird regardless. But it's okay.
Seems like they just worked it in accidentally. It worked out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the little touches like that, and like Dale like talking about how he can remember like weird stuff, and he has like all this like bizarre knowledge. Yeah, like I mean, there's these characters like especially Dale are like being built up as kind of like superhero. You know how in hillbilly movies they're kind of superhuman, but in an evil way.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
turn and stuff.
Yeah.
They're kind of superhuman in this movie, but in a like for good way,
In a
like
sweet way,
like,
yeah.
in an unintentional way. It's like they're able to like overcome obstacles. Like like when Tucker's like doing the wood chipper thing, right? The guy comes to stab him.
Oh, that is
he
so
turns,
funny.
right?
Oh my
the guy
gosh.
comes. It's just like these pure, like kind of
Yeah,
luck thing.
pure. Yeah, that
I
pure
never
is the
thought
word.
I'd
Yeah.
say this, but I'm glad I'm not hung like a bear.
Well, yeah, like sheer luck. It's absolutely.
I love the wood chipper scene.
The whole scene was
It would
so.
take.
The
Think
whole,
of- oh, God.
To do what?
How much strength it would actually take to pull someone that's being pulled in by a wood chipper?
Right?
Yeah.
the whole wood chipper
Especially
scene
when
was
huge
so
industrial
like well
scene.
shot because like it opens. It's filled with like meta knowledge because it opens with a shot of a wood chipper.
You know, like
And
someone
everyone's
wanted-
immediately like, oh god.
Someone's
Someone's about to go into a wood
Yeah.
chipper. Just the whole setup, the whole scene, the whole build-up, it's actually really well crafted because
Yeah.
it's 100% foreshadowing. And like 99.9% of the audience knows it's foreshadowing.
It's all
But
anticipation.
is it foreshadowing, or is it like for me? It was too predictable. I'm like,
Yeah,
that guy's
exactly.
gonna
It
do
was supposed to be too predictable.
But like that, I mean, that's like, I mean, I had fun with this movie, but I didn't like it for those reasons because I knew what was going to happen before it happened.
I love
and I
meta
don't
humor.
like that.
And I love like meta knowledge. I love the fact that the movie is taking your well-established horror movie things because like your 80s slasher flicks would try to slide that crap in. Where like it's like, look, there's a hay bale hanging right here. That won't come up. We're just establishing this shot to show you're on a farm. And then the hay bale falls on someone in 15 minutes. It takes fun at that kind of thing, and it just makes it amusing because it's like, hey, wood chipper, no one's gonna die here, we promise. And then of course the kid
There were
falls.
some more subtle things.
They have the luck of the fool.
The guy who goes into the wood chipper's name is Chuck. They chucked him in the wood chipper.
Oh no!
Oh, you had to
yes.
Trav to pick
It
up
was
on
a
that.
woodchuck.
How much would you woodchuck chuck of a woodchuck to chuck wood?
I'm glad Trav found the
Of
terrible
course
pun.
Trav. Terrible pun in the movie. He knows about it.
I'm just capitalizing.
I'm proud of you. Thank you.
For not hitting him?
No, she's proud of me. I have a goal fulfilled now. Jenny's proud of me.
I'm only gonna be proud of you for the next 2 minutes. What? You just you telling Lavina that I said oh whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. I enjoyed this movie.
I did too.
I thought it was fun.
I'm gonna say I enjoyed the first half of the movie. Like the first half is excellently, amazingly done. The second half feels forced.
Like when Chad becomes super
Yeah, when
hillbilly.
Chad goes like super's crazy and all that, it's just like this is not what this is building up to.
See, and I
Super
disagree.
Hill,
I
this is
feel
out of
that
nowhere.
Chad not being right, like the minute he had Allie cornered against the van, I'm like, that guy's fucked up.
My first thought was, well, he's gonna die soon.
So you know, and I just
But not soon
I saw like he was just so. If he wasn't armed during that sequence, I would have gone the same way you did.
Yeah.
But he had the axe the whole time, and he was so obsessive with it. I'm like,
Good-
this is
that's
gonna
a good-
backfire.
That's a good detail. Yeah,
The
that's
only thing I
interesting.
didn't like about the whole Chad is crazy nonsense is the fact that it's like, oh, well, you're half hillbilly, and that's why you're crazy. Because like it kind of goes against the whole message.
I agree on that.
That's
Well,
the only part
I
that
don't
bothered
think
me
it's-
about it. Like,
no.
Then again, they show him the news clip and he's like, "Stop! You're half
you're half hillbilly. And he's like, oh, I am. Someone continue to be a
No,
psychopath.
I don't
It's
think
because he's
it's-
half psychopath.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that
It's
was.
not because he's half hillbilly. It's because he's half psychopath.
And I think everybody knows that. I honestly,
I know, but, like,
I don't
it's
think that
the
was
way that like because like Dale even kind of like buys into it. He's like, "But you're half hillbilly, Chad. Look." And he's like, "I am," and then he goes to continue trying to kill him.
Yeah,
There is no truth.
Yeah,
That's just a man having a psychotic break.
I mean, true.
I think
You are
it's yeah. I don't know.
It's the only. I'm not saying like it's necessarily like a deal breaker in the movie. It's the only part of the movie that bothered me.
I
Yeah,
kind of get the sense they get like to that point where like, well, shit, what do we do now?
Right.
If
And
we
it's kind of that moment.
we have to end this movie. How are we gonna?
It's like we wrote point A to point B, but we have to fill in point A to point B.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think we saw things throughout the entire movie that led to that point. You know what I mean? Like I think it was written with an end game. At least in my.
That's what I'm saying. Is what was written with an end game was how do we get to the end game? And
Chamomile
then
tea.
like a couple of stages of that fell.
Chamomile tea.
Oh,
Like the ending was pre-prepared and it was just moving towards.
Like they had the ending in mind.
I do have to.
I don't know. Maybe.
I do have to agree with Girl with Terrible Shoes. Earl Grey is an excellent tea.
I don't like Earl Grey.
I like Earl Grey just a little bit of milk.
I don't like Earl Grey.
Chamomile's good if you want a nap, or apparently
I don't like.
deadly asthma.
I don't like chamomile. I don't like the flavor of it.
It's also
I like
really
Earl
good
Grey.
for like your respiratory.
I really like
tract
Lipton's
issues with
tea.
it.
I'm not sure it's gonna kill me.
Now I'm no longer proud of you.
Ah,
Lipton.
Lipton brisk iced tea.
Lipton is good for
Brisk,
iced tea.
baby.
I'm talking about hot tea in the tea bag.
No, I know, but like you,
No, we just
like with iced tea, you take like 10 Lipton bags and you like seep them in like and concentrate.
I don't drink iced tea.
never looked this up.
No kidding.
For
For
many
various reasons. None of them hillbilly related. To continue with the theme.
Do we know who played Dale? Does anyone know his name?
I don't know. I look familiar, but
He looked like the guy from Tyre. Or Robert.
Oh,
Yeah, he
jeez.
looked like.
oh my gosh, I
And
remember
that's
that
also a
movie.
Magnet release.
I loved that movie.
That's
Robert.
Robert was fantastic.
Yeah,
I
like
could
Magnet
not.
Films also released that movie and Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yeah, I did
well,
not
you
like
did the same-
Hobo with a
You
Shotgun.
did like Hobo?
I did not like Hobo
Holy
with a Shotgun.
shit! Why not?
Hobo with a
It
shotgun's
was-
fantastic.
It was a little too intense for me.
Okay.
I never saw
Everything's
that.
too intense for you. It was a little too intense for me.
I didn't see that. I must not have been there
Or
then.
maybe a lawyer. If you're unlucky,
Okay,
you'll
okay.
end up like me, a hobo.
It was just a little too much. It was just a little.
That's why I liked it.
There's certain scenes
Isn't
where
that
it's a
shit
little
just
too
like
He's
old
from
this human
Reaper and
being?
Deadbeat. Title of the
Like,
Beast.
dang it.
Known
Like,
for
I was.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes,
No
Monsters
questions
University.
Jesse Moss looks like a douche in his IMDb.
Baby factory.
He's got a horrible
Nearly
mustache.
with-
I'm sorry,
Go
Jesse
to fuck
Moss.
home, everybody, and don't forget to wash your dicks.
What?
That's from Hobo with a
Well, I've been
Shotgun.
doing a long time.
Welcome to Fucktown. These are the princes of Fucktown.
Oh my god!
Not that I would have noticed, but he's the voice
This
of
guy's been in a lot of
Voltron.
like random stuff.
Yeah! He's in the new Voltron.
He was in Rise of the Planet of the
Do we have
Apes.
anything else to say?
And,
No, other than I think I really like this movie. And I,
Closing thoughts.
yeah, I think so.
That broke down into some Hobo with a Shotgun.
It
yelling.
did.
Really?
Like, really?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Do it like
Who are you starting with? Jordan or Claire?
Go Jordan. Go Jordan, Claire, Heidi,
yeah,
Jenny.
like I kind of like this movie. I think the moment it breaks down for me is kind of like at the end point, or not the end point, like in the middle there, like around like the second act. It kind of loses momentum. It's not that like good stuff doesn't happen, but the movie should like kind of like flow a little bit better. It should like roll it along, like, and there's a few scenes in there that derail it a little bit, and like don't quite like that. And then I almost wish that like the chat thing would have been different. Like I kind of like because I didn't detect like the serial killer in the cabin thing. I kind of wanted like all the fucking dead college kids to come back as zombies at the end, and like and Tucker and Dale
that would have been a
like
weird
actually
ending,
fight.
honestly. I would have thought like that.
I would have
but-
enjoyed that ending.
Yeah, and just got full Evil Dead with it, because I was. When I first watched this movie, I was kind of drunk and I was kind of tired and I fell asleep in my chair right at the point where get into the cabin and they say, hey, look, he must have been an archaeologist, and like that was kind of what I wanted the movie to be, like in my little like sleepy little slumbery mind, you know what I mean? Like I envisioned like an entirely different film after that. But like it would have been cool, like all these people would have been killed. Right? Like
I'm starting to blame that chair.
I can like if like all these people would have been killed of their own accord because they're afraid of rednecks or whatever, so they're running into fucking trees and like sawing each other's faces off with like hedge trimmers and shit like that. But then at the end, instead of being Chad being an evil guy, he just comes back because of some shit that happened in the house. Like that's how I would have written it. But whatever, it was pretty good.
That would have been a different movie, but it would have probably been definitely
It would have been entertaining.
That's for sure. Yeah. Is it me?
It's you.
I really like this movie. I don't know. I find it like fun and like sweet. I mean, they're weird adjectives, but I just find it fun and sweet and it's just so sweet. I don't know. I just think it's really adorable. Like, and I don't even necessarily like the girl Allie all that much, but I just think that the two of them.
It was Sabrina from 30 Rock.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Just the friendship between the two of them, and we bought a vacation house, and just I don't know. I just thought it was fun, and they did a lot of great little one-liners and visual gags throughout, sprinkled enough that it just was kind of constantly engaging, at least to me. Yeah, I loved it. I honestly want to go home and watch it again. Like, that was so much fun. I'm just going to get
Me next?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't hate it. I didn't like super like it. It's not, the best movie I've seen. It was clever at times, but I just thought it was a little too hand-holdy for the most part. It was predictable. Characters were too black and white for me. I thought there was like a lot of kind of a lot being said about like I don't know. It almost felt like a movie made for like kind of redneck like hillbilly but not also. I had trouble with that. Like, is it making fun of them or is it on their side or like I don't know. So that was hard for me to like kind of figure out what the heck they were doing there. Didn't surprise me like that. There was just I kind of knew what was going to happen like whenever like the scene was set up. But it had some really funny moments, so I didn't like not enjoy watching it. I had fun watching it. I just at the end of it I was kind of like, all right, that was a movie. So
I don't want to jump in, but I think honestly that's almost one of the reasons that I do like it.
Yeah.
In the fact that it's kind of hand-holding, is that it's just like it's comfy. It's like a comfy movie.
It is a comfy movie.
I'm not like watching it to be like challenged or surprised even necessarily. It's just it's fun. It's comfy. It's enjoyable. I guess
Yeah.
So
that's
I think
fine if like that's like what you're in the mood for. I generally don't like movies like that. I like to be surprised and like go, what the fuck?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm the same, but I don't know. Specifically, I love it.
I enjoyed it. I liked the way it handled all its horror tropes. I got really invested in Allie and Dale as a couple because that was the most important part of that movie. But don't worry, I was all in on it. And honestly, it's gory, but it's not like Hobo with a Shotgun gory or Evil Dead remake gory, where I'm like, this is gross, but I don't have to like cover my face to make it through the movie. So I liked it. I thought it was fun, and I think I agree with Claire. Like, and I agree with Heidi. It was a little hand-holding, but like I had to go to work 20 minutes afterwards, so I kind of needed my hand held through it. I think. So,
I mean, I enjoyed it. I love the fact that it's filled with meta humor without being like a parody movie like we discussed. Because sometimes you need that. Like, you need a movie that takes a familiar genre, takes familiar subjects, and makes fun of it in a good kind of way. It's the kind of movie that horror fans can really appreciate for all the in-jokes, but you also don't need to be a horror fan to enjoy it. Like, I could show this movie to my mom, and she'd get a huge kick out of it for completely different reasons, but she'd still enjoy watching it. Whereas if I showed it, like if I watched it with Jenny, we would both laugh at completely different parts, but we would laugh just as much. And that's what I like about it. It's a feel-good movie. It's fun to watch.
People are going to be so confused.
I can watch it with my mom, or I can watch it with...
Sweet movie. What are they
Kenny.
talking
Thank
about?
you. I'm glad I'm just referred to like that.
Well,
As opposed to being referred to as my other name.
Thank you. I
That's so
thank
sweet.
you.
I love that.
Move on to Trav. I gotta kill Ryan.
Welcome to that girl.
Compared to other horror movies,
Right.
sounds like
Chad.
Chad.
Like I
Bunch of
said,
Chads over
the
there.
first half of this movie was phenomenal. I was loving it. The lighting is great, the mood is great, the theme is great. The splat stick is phenomenal. Everything from, like the kid running onto the branch we mentioned earlier to the silicone tick girl getting blood bukkake by the wood chipper.
Blood bukkake.
No, I understand what he said, but
Blood
what?
bukkake is gonna be our grindcore band.
Name for such a thing.
Then right at the top of the second act where it shifts gears and it goes from, okay, these hillbillies just happen to be protected by plot armor where these kids are like accidentally killing themselves that I can really get into. Suddenly we've got college frat guys like torturing and mutilating hillbillies and it's like, what the hell am I watching now? This is a different film. It shifted gears and it didn't fit right. These are two different movies smashed together. And the second movie I didn't care for. So.
I'm stuck on the fence due to, I'm going to be lazy here, the benefit sides that people have pointed out already, and the problems people have pointed out. It's like, I want to like this movie. It's an enjoyable experience. It's not one of my favorites.
Oh crap.
And I liked it. I got chuckles out of it. It wasn't bad.
Thank you.
That's
profound.
Short and sweet.
Even if we don't do Hobo with the Shotgun for our next episode,
We're not doing it for our next episode because it's my choice.
But we should do
Actually, our next episode
Silver
is,
Screen Showdown about Hobo with the Shotgun.
All right.
I really like it.
Maybe.
Really like it.
I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I know.
I haven't watched it
that I'm
since
not
the
like
first
it.
time I
I know
watched
that I'm
it.
not
Didn't
gonna like it,
enjoy
but
it.
I also want an excuse to watch it. So.
It's a grindcore movie, so it is ultra
I take that back.
It's super
I very well may
intense.
like it.
You'll love it.
I'm not
It's
a
too much.
major gore person.
I'm not.
That's why I'm saying
Like,
I
I
don't
enjoy
like gore, but
a gory movie. Like it doesn't bother me. The movie was just too
Oh
much.
god,
It took
the
away from
glass in the mouth.
Like the whole experience, it took away from the movie.
Really?
That's my opinion of it. And if you want, I'll argue with you about it on my birthday when we're broadcasting.
Silver
Nice.
Screen
Let's do it.
Showdown.
Silver Screen Showdown. When was the last time we did a Silver Screen
Wild.
Showdown? Yeah. Let's do it. Hobo with the
Alright,
Shotgun.
Hobo with the Shotgun Showdown.
Ryan Jordan,
That
2017 for the
Tucker
title belt.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Join us in 2 weeks for Ryan's birthday spectacular.
Argues with Jordan about Hobo with the
And a
Shotgun.
Silver Screen Showdown on Hobo with the
And
Shotgun.
potentially talks about a movie about aquatic terrors.
Teacher!
There will be some aquatic thing, and I'm sure that there will be some very salty water, mostly just pouring down Jenny's face.
Take this man and throw it in with the sodomites.
On that note, thanks for joining you. We'll catch you next time.